The video opens with an unsettling fast-paced montage. An empty street washed in dim yellow street lights, the silhouette of the house on Briar Lane, looming at the far end, its windows blacked out, as if something inside is watching back. A close-up of a weather-worn missing poster flutters against a telephone pole, the wind carrying a low, almost human groan. A handheld camera clip flashes on-screen, shocky, panicked breathing. Someone whispering, "Did you hear that?" before the footage abruptly cuts to static. Over these visuals, the narrator speaks in a calm but urgent tone, saying that this house has a reputation unlike anything in the town's history. People go in out of curiosity, bravery, or foolishness. But not all of them come back. The screen darkens for a beat, creating a second of breathless silence, before a single line appears. The house on Briar Lane, everyone comes back. The introduction begins by slowly pulling the audience back from the dramatics and grounding the story in a real-world setting. The narrator explains that Briar Lane looks like any other neighborhood, a forgotten stretch of cracked pavement, a cluster of old trees bending as if trying to hide the house at the end. But for decades, residents have whispered about what happens there after sunset. Some claim they've seen faint lights flickering behind boarded windows, as if someone is still living inside. Others swear they've heard screams echoing across the lane, long after the house was officially declared abandoned. Police reports over the years show multiple missing person cases connected to the area, though none were ever solved. As the narrator walks through the history, the visuals show faded newspaper clippings, archived photos of the house, and brief interviews with locals who refuse to step within 10 feet of the property. The tone shifts from curiosity to caution, establishing the purpose of the investigation: to uncover the truth behind the most feared house in the region. The narrator promises to follow every lead witness accounts, all documents, and direct exploration of the property, reminding viewers that every rumor starts somewhere, and sometimes the truth is far darker than the stories. The introduction closes with a slow approach toward the front door of the house, the camera trembling slightly as the narrator notes that crossing this threshold is something many regretted, and something the team is about to do next. The screen fades in from black to a trembling handheld shot. The narrator's voice enters quietly, almost swallowed by the wind. People always say the house looks normal from a distance, but that's how it pulls you in. The camera zooms down Briar Lane, where dead leaves scrape across cracked asphalt. As the house comes into view, its rotting frame seems to lean forward as though listening. A porch light flickers, even though the building has no electricity. The narrator continues, describing how the place looks both empty and occupied, an unsettling contradiction. The shot tightens on the front door, where faint scratch marks run along the wood. They aren't natural. They look desperate. The audience hears a sudden metallic clang, like something dropped inside. The camera jolts. A local resident's recorded voice plays over the visuals. "I tell everyone, don't go near that place at night. It watches you. It waits." A slow zoom toward the upstairs window reveals a dark shape shifting just out of sight. For a moment, the screen glitches. The narrator whispers, "This is where our investigation begins. The last place 3 people were seen, before they disappeared." The chapter ends on a distant, echoing thud from inside the house. The scene shifts to old photographs laid out on a wooden table. Black and white images show the house when it was newly built, standing proudly with manicured grass and clean windows. The narrator picks up the first photo. Before the tragedies, the Briar family built this place with their own hands. But happiness didn't last long. A visual reenactment begins, faded, dreamlike, as if recalling a memory rather than recreating it. A woman's voice is heard singing softly before abruptly cutting off. Children's laughter echoes, then fades into silence. The narrator explains that the Briar family vanished mysteriously one winter night, leaving behind a dinner table still set for 4. No signs of struggle, no footprints in the snow, just absence. Newspaper headlines slide onto the screen. Local family missing. Authorities confused. Neighbors report strange noises. Eyewitness audio plays next. "We heard crying from inside, but no one answered the door." The narrator reveals that after the disappearance, every new tenant reported sleepless nights, whispers in the hallway, and objects moving on their own. Some stayed weeks, some days. One left after a single night. The chapter closes with a close-up of a child's toy found in the attic, its eyes hollow, staring right at the camera. The screen cuts to interviews with longtime residents. Their faces are partially shadowed, as if they don't want to be recognized. An elderly man leans close to the microphone. That house, it ain't just haunted, it's hungry. As he speaks, the visuals shift to atmospheric shots of the neighborhood at dusk. The narrator explains that stories about the house have circulated for decades, some for others disturbingly consistent. One legend tells of a shadow figure that stands behind visitors, only visible in reflections. Another speaks of a woman in white who appears in the upstairs window whenever someone goes missing. Children in the neighborhood say they hear someone calling their name at night, a voice that sounds familiar but wrong. The narrator pieces together these tales, pointing out that legends often carry at least a kernel of truth. Fear shapes them. But fear also exposes patterns people can't ignore. In every version of the story, the house seems alive, aware of those who enter. A young woman's voice is heard. My brother went in for a dare when we were kids. I never saw him come back out. The narrator pauses, letting the weight of this claim settle. The chapter ends with a chilling whisper. Come inside. The door creaks open with a long, mournful wail as the team enters. The camera's flashlight cuts through thick dust, swirling in the air. The floor groans under each step, as though protesting their presence. The narrator speaks in a low tone. People say the house chooses who it lets inside, and who it keeps. The camera pans across the living room. Furniture sits in unnatural positions, chairs facing corners. A couch pulled an inch from the wall as if pushed by unseen hands. A shattered mirror reflects the flashlight, but the reflection seems delayed by a second. Suddenly, a cold breeze sweeps through, though all windows are boarded shut. The audio recorder picks up a faint murmur. At first it sounds like static, but when amplified, it resembles a voice whispering, "Leave." The narrator describes the oppressive feeling that grows the deeper they walk, the sense of someone brushing past them, the subtle vibrations in the floorboards. When the team enters the hallway, every light flickers violently. A picture frame falls on its own, the glass cracking like a warning shot. At the end of the hall, a door slowly swings open without anyone touching it, revealing a staircase that descends into darkness. The chapter ends there, silent, suffocating. The team explores the rooms, one by one, documenting everything. The narrator's voice becomes hushed, almost reverent, as he describes how each room feels like it holds memories. Not peaceful ones, fragments of something unresolved. The first bedroom contains a small metal bed frame and a broken lamp. The wallpaper is peeled in long strips, as though clawed off. When the flashlight hits the wall, faint writing appears, lines etched over and over. Don't let it in. In another room, a dusty vanity sits beneath a cracked window. The team approaches, and the camera captures a brief reflection, someone standing behind them who isn't actually there. The recorder glitches before returning to normal. The narrator notes how temperature shifts violently from hot to freezing, as if the house breathes in cycles. A closet door rattles even though the air is still. When opened, the inside is pitch black, swallowing the flashlight beam. Something briefly moves inside, but the camera loses focus before it can be identified. A sudden bang echoes from across the hall. The team rushes to investigate, only to find a children's ball rolling slowly across the floor. It stops at the cameraman's feet. The chapter closes with the narrator saying, "None of these rooms are empty. They're waiting." Back in the hallway, the team notices a section of the floorboards slightly raised. A gentle push reveals a narrow trapdoor, concealed beneath years of dust and debris. The narrator breathes sharply. This wasn't on any blueprint. The camera angles downward as the trapdoor creaks open, revealing a wooden ladder leading into total darkness. A smell of damp earth and something metallic rises from below. The team debates entering, their voices uneasy. One insists they leave. Another argues they've come too far. Eventually, the narrator decides to go down first. The latter trembles with each step. The beam of the flashlight lands on cold stone walls covered in strange marking circles, symbols, scratches too deep to be human. A narrow passage stretches ahead. As they move deeper, a rhythmic tapping begins, echoing faintly. It's slow, deliberate, almost like communication. The camera captures distant movement, a shadow slipping around a corner just out of sight. They find an old wooden door at the end of the passage, sealed with thick rusted chains. On the floor is a torn backpack with a name tag belonging to one of the missing persons. Silence fills the air until a sudden slam from behind causes the team to whirl around. The chapter ends in total darkness. After several attempts, the rusted chains fall away, and the door opens with a shriek that vibrates through the walls. Inside is a cramped room filled with relics left by previous visitors' phones, notebooks, flashlights, and personal items arranged as if displayed. In the center lies a journal, its pages warped but legible. The narrator reads aloud, "I've been trapped for days. It knows when I'm scared. It gets closer when I sleep." The handwriting becomes frantic toward the final pages, ending abruptly mid-sentence. The team's flashlight flickers wildly. A deep groan resonates from somewhere behind them, then stops. An overwhelming sense of being watched floods the room. The camera catches movement in the corner. Something crouched, human-shaped, but distorted. Its limbs are too long. Its head tilted unnaturally. It doesn't move at first. Then slowly, deliberately it turns toward the team. Panic erupts. The camera shakes violently as they sprint back through the passage. Something heavy scrapes rapidly behind them. The tapping sound returns, now faster, angrier. They reach the ladder, scrambling to climb. A handpail and thing grabs the narrator's ankle, but slips as he kicks free. They burst back into the hallway, slamming the trapdoor shut. The chapter ends with frantic breathing and silence below. The house no longer feels empty, it vibrates with movement, with intent. Doors slam on their own. Lights flicker in patterns that almost resemble signals. The narrator urges the team toward the exit, but the front door won't open. It's stuck, as though something is holding it closed from the outside or inside. The camera catches a figure at the end of the hallway. It stands perfectly still, its face blurred, its body shifting in unnatural motions. Every step it takes makes the floorboards scream. The team backs away, searching for another way out. They rush to a window, smashing the glass. A gust of freezing air hits them. As they begin climbing out, a loud shriek erupts from the darkness of the house. One by one they escape, sprinting into the night without looking back. The camera tumbles onto the grass, capturing the house for one last moment. In the upstairs window, a figure stands watching motionless. The narrator, breathless, says quietly, "Some places don't just hold memories. They hold on to people." The final shot lingers on the house until all lights inside fade to black. A whisper closes the chapter. Not everyone comes back. The night settles into a heavy silence as the camera holds on the dark outline of the house. Its windows now nothing more than hollow sockets staring back at the world outside. The narrator speaks softly, the tone no longer investigative, but reflective, carrying the weight of what just happened. "We came here looking for answers. But some truth isn't meant to be uncovered. Some doors aren't meant to be opened." The wind picks up, rustling dead leaves across the pavement. And for a moment it almost sounds like whispering. Like the house itself is calling out, inviting someone else to step inside. The footage cuts to the team recovering outside, shaken but alive. The narrator admits they left the house behind, but not the feeling that something followed them, something unseen, lingering just beyond the edge of light. Police tape is placed around the area, yet the narrator calmly notes that tape never stopped. Whatever lives inside it never will. The closing message comes with a slow zoom back toward the house, now eerily still. The house on Briar Lane remains untouched, waiting for the next curious soul who thinks legends are just stories. But remember, these stories come from somewhere. And if you ever find yourself on Briar Lane, keep walking. The screen fades to black, leaving only the faint echo of a distant, unanswered knock.